Hello. Hello. Yeah, I don't feel like tying my thing in the back. My head a little sore. My head a little sore. I don't feel like tying in the back. Hello, whoever that is. I can't see the names, but I can't see unless you like comment. But hey, whoever that is, one person. Woo, 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 woo. Okay, we'll get started. Okay, it's day 14 of the Read the Bible with me in almost in 14 days, in 90 days. And so we're going to be reading yesterday we read Numbers 34 through Deuteronomy 7. Now we're going to read Deuteronomy 8 through 24. Oh, it's not a lot. So we have day 14. Let me make sure I spell this right. Deuteronomy. And it's 8 through 24. Okay. You guys ready? You guys ready? All right. It says, "Do not forget the Lord. Be careful to follow every command I am giving you today, so that you may live and increase and may enter and possess the land that the Lord promised you on oath to your forefathers. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way to the desert these 40 years to humble you and to test you in order to know what was in your heart, whether or not you would keep his commands. He humbled you, causing you hunger and feeding you with manna, which neither you nor your fathers had known, to teach you that man does not need to live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. Your clothes did not wear out, and your feet did not swell during these 40 years. Know then in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, the Lord your God disciplines you. Observe the commands of the Lord your God, walking in his ways and revering him, and revering him, sorry. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land that streams and pools of water and springs flowing in the valleys and the hills, a land with wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey, a land where bread will not be scarce, and you will lack nothing, a land where the rocks are iron and you can dig copper out of the hills. When you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land that he's given you. Be careful that you do not forget the Lord your God, failing to observe his commands, his laws, and his decrees that I am giving you this day. Otherwise, when you eat and are satisfied, when you build fine houses and settle down, and when your herds and flocks grow large, and your silver and gold increase, and all you have is multiplied, then your heart will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. He led you through the vast and dreadful desert, that the thirsty and waterless land with its venomous snakes and scorpions. He brought you water out of a hard rock. He gave you manna to eat in the desert, something your forefathers never known, to humble you and to test you in that way and end will go well with you. You may say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands produce this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your forefathers as it is today. If you ever forget the Lord your God and follow other gods and worship and bow down to them, I testify against you today that you will surely be destroyed, like the nations the Lord destroyed before you, and so you will be destroyed for not obeying the Lord your God. Wow. We coming out swinging. So remember I said, like, I'm gonna put my back against the wall so I'm not hunched over. Yeah, cool. We talked about it so many times when it comes to giving. The reason why we're supposed to give offering is because, oh man, actually, Lord, don't look at that. Is because God blessed us with these jobs. He's given us the ability to be wealthy, and that's exactly what it's saying here. Remember God. So, okay, this is time now because of Israel's righteousness. Hear, O Israel, that you are now about to cross the Jordan to go in and depossess nations greater and stronger than you, with large cities that have walls up to the sky. The people are strong and tall, Anakites. You know about them and have heard them, who said, who can stand up against the Anakites? But be assured today that the Lord your God is the one who goes across ahead of you like a devouring fire. He will destroy them and he will subdue them before you, and you will drive them out and annihilate them quickly as the Lord promised you. After the Lord your God has driven them out before you, do not say to yourself, the Lord has brought me here to take possession of this land because of my righteousness. No, it is on account of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord is going to drive them out before you. It is not because of your righteousness or your integrity that you are going in to take possession of their land, but on account of the wickedness of these nations. The Lord your God will drive them out before you to accomplish what he swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember them that it is not because of your righteousness that the Lord your God is giving you this good land to possess, for you are stiff-necked people. They're saying, look, you're only being blessed because of the wickedness of others. Don't try to account it for your righteousness because you're really not righteous. That's the same thing with us when we experience some success. Sometimes it's not even about what we did; it's about God trying to teach somebody else a lesson. The golden calf. It says, remember this and never forget how you provoked the Lord your God to anger in the desert. From the day you left Egypt until you arrived here, you have been rebellious against the Lord. At Horeb, you aroused the Lord's wrath so that he was angry enough to destroy you. When I went up on the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant the Lord made with you, I stayed on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread and drank no water. The Lord gave me 2 stone tablets inscribed by finger of God. On them were all the commandments the Lord proclaimed to you on the mountain out of the fire on the day of the assembly. At the end of the 40 days and 40 nights, the Lord gave me the 2 stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant. Then the Lord told me, go down from here at once, because your people who you brought up out of Egypt have quickly become corrupt. They have turned away quickly from what I commanded them and have made cast idols for themselves. And the Lord said to me, I have seen this people, and they are stiff-necked people indeed. Let me alone. Let me alone so I may destroy them and blot out their name from under heaven. And I will make you into a nation greater and stronger and more numerous than they. So I turned and went down from the mountains where it was ablaze with fire, and the 2 stone tablets of the covenant were in my hands. When I looked, I saw that you had sinned against the Lord your God, for you had made yourself an idol cast in the shape of a calf. You turned aside and quickly the way the Lord commanded you. So I took the 2 tablets and threw them out of my hands, breaking them into pieces before your eyes. Then once again I fell prostrate before the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread and drank no water because of all the sin you committed, doing what was evil in the Lord's sight, and so provoking him to anger. I feared the anger and the wrath of the Lord, for he was angry enough with you to destroy you. But again, the Lord listened to me. And the Lord was angry enough with Aaron to destroy him. But at that time, I prayed for Aaron too. As I took a sinful thing of yours, the calf you had made, and burned it in the fire. Then I crushed it and ground it into powder as fine as dust, and threw the dust into the stream that flowed down the mountain. You also made the Lord angry at Taberah, at Tabra, at Massa, and at Kibroth Hattava. Then the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea and said, go up and take possession of the land that I have given you. But you rebelled against the command of the Lord. You did not trust him or obey him. You have been rebellious against the Lord ever since I've known you. I want to stop right here. It says, but you rebelled against the command of the Lord. You did not trust him or obey him. So when God gives you an assignment and you don't do it because you're scared, you're disobeying God. I lay prostrate before the Lord for 40 days and 40 nights because the Lord had said he would destroy you. I pray to the Lord, O sovereign Lord, do not destroy your people, your own inheritance that you redeemed by your great power and brought up out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Overlook the stubbornness of these people and their wickedness and their sin. Otherwise, the country in which you brought us will say, because the Lord was not able to take them into the land that they promised them, because he hated them, he brought them out to put them in death, to put them to death in the desert. But they are your people, your inheritance, that you brought out of your great power and out in your outstretched arm. Boom. So that's 9. So number 8 was saying, remember God in your success. Don't become prideful. 9 for me is 9 for me was the we aren't always blessed for our righteousness. What does that mean? What that means is God isn't always blessing you because you've done so good. Sometimes he's blessing you because it's a punishment for somebody else. He's given them the promised land because the Anakites and the Canaanites and all the knights were wicked. Okay. Number 10. At the time the Lord said to me, chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones and come up to me on the mountain and also make a wooden chest. I will write on the tablets the words that were given on the first tablets which you wrote. Then you are going to put them in the chest. So I made the ark out of acacia wood and chiseled out 2 stone tablets like the first ones. I went up on the mountain with the 2 tablets in my hand. The Lord wrote on these tablets what he written before, the 10 commandments that he proclaimed to you on the mountains, out of the fire on the days of the assembly. And the Lord gave them to me. When I came down to the mountain and put the tablets on the ark I made, as the Lord commanded to me, they are here now. It says, the Israelites traveled from the wells of the Jachanites to Mosara. Then Aaron died there and was buried, and Eleazar his son succeeded him as a priest. From there they traveled to Gudgah and on Jotbatha, a land with streams of water. At that time the Lord set up a tribe of Levi to carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord, to minister and to pronounce blessings in his name, as they do still today. That is why the Levites have no share of inheritance among their brothers. The Lord is their inheritance, as the Lord your God told them. Now I had stayed on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, as I did the first time. And the Lord listened to me at this time. It was not his will to destroy you. Go, the Lord said to me, and lead the people on their way so they may enter and possess the land that I swore to their fathers to give to them. And now, O Israel, what does the Lord your God ask of you? But to fear the Lord your God and to walk in his ways, to love him, to serve the Lord your God with your heart and with all your soul, and to observe the Lord's commands and decrees that I'm giving you today for your own good. To the Lord your God belonging to the heavens, even the highest heavens, the earth, and everything in it. Yet the Lord set his affection on your forefathers and loved them, and he chose you, their descendants, above all nations as it is today. Circumcise your hearts, therefore, and do not be stiff-necked any longer. For the Lord your God is God of gods, and the Lord of lords, and the great God, mighty and awesome, who shows no partiality and accepts no bribes. He defends the cause of the fatherless and the widow, and loves the alien, giving him food and clothing. And you are to love those who are aliens, for yourselves were aliens in Egypt. Fear the Lord your God and serve him. Hold fast to him and take your oaths in his name. He is your praise. He is your God, who performed for you those great and awesome wonders you saw with your own eyes. Your forefathers went down into Egypt, were 70 in all, and now the Lord your God has made you numerous as the stars in the sky. I just want to say, fear the Lord, but love him. He's the God of God. So yes, you should fear him, but you should also love him. In the next one, it says, love and obey the Lord. It says, love the Lord your God and keep his requirements, his decrees, his laws, and his commands always. Remember today that your children were not the ones who saw and experienced the discipline of the Lord your God, his majesty, his mighty hand, his outstretched arm, the signs he performed, the things that he did in the heart of Egypt, both Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his whole country. What he did to the Egyptian army, to its horses and chariots, and how he overwhelmed them with the power of the Red Sea as they were pursuing you, and how the Lord brought lasting ruin on them. It was not your children who saw what he did for you in the desert until you arrived at this place, and what he did to Dathan, Abiram, sons of Eliab, the Reubenite, when the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed them in the middle of all Israel, and swallowed up their household, their tents, and every living thing that belonged to them. But it was your own eyes that saw all the great things that the Lord has done. Observe therefore all the commands that I'm giving you today, so you may have the strength to go in and take land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess, and so that you may live long in the land that the Lord swore to your forefathers to give to them and their descendants, a land flowing with milk and honey. The land that you are entering to take over is not a land of Egypt from which you have come, where you planted your seed and irrigated it by foot in a vegetable garden. But the land you are crossing the Jordan to take possession of is a land of mountains and valleys that drinks rain from the heaven. It is a land that the Lord your God cares for. The eyes of the Lord your God are continually on it from the beginning of the year to its end. So if you faithfully obey the commands that I am giving you today to love the Lord your God and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, then I will send rain on your land in its season, both autumn and spring rains, so that you may go gather grain and new wine and oil. I will provide grass in the fields for your cattle, and you will eat and be satisfied. Be careful, or you will be enticed to turn away and worship other gods and bow down to them. Then the Lord's anger will burn against you, and he will shut the heavens so it will not rain, and the ground will not yield nor produce, and you will soon perish from the good land that the Lord is giving you. Fix these words of mine in your hearts and minds, tie them as a symbol to your hands, and bind them on your foreheads. Teach them to your children, talking about them when you sit at home, and when you walk along the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. Write them on the door frames of your home and on your gates, so your days and the days of your children may be many in the land that the Lord swore to give to your forefathers, as many as the heavens are above the earth. If you carefully observe all of these commands that I'm giving you to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to hold fast to him, then the Lord will drive out all the nations before you, and you will depossess nations larger and stronger than you. Every place where you set your foot will be yours. Your territory will extend from the desert to the Lebanon, and from the Euphrates River to the western sea. No man will be able to stand against you. The Lord your God, as he promised you, will put terror and fear in you of you on the whole land wherever you go. See that I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing is if you obey the commands of the Lord your God that I'm giving you today. The curse is that if you disobey the commands of the Lord your God, and turn from the way that I command you today by following other gods which you have not known. When the Lord your God has brought you into the land you are entering to possess, you are to proclaim Mount Gerizim the blessings, and on Mount Ebal the curses. As you know, these mountains are across the Jordan, west of the road towards the setting sun, near the great trees of Moreh, in the territory of the Canaanites living in Arabah in the vicinity of Jalal. You are about to cross the Jordan to enter and take possession of the land your God is giving you. When you have taken it over and are living there, be sure that you obey all the decrees and laws that I'm setting before you today. I want to. Where is it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Oh no. Where is it? Oh, there was something that I wanted to point out. Hmm. Oh, this is what I want to point out. So, again, when we are blessed, we still have to follow God, because it says, be careful. This is verse 16. It says, be careful, or you will be enticed to turn away and worship other gods and bow down to them. Right? Then remember in chapter 8, it said that it is because of God's grace that you even have the wealth that you have. So because of that, we have to be careful when we're blessed that we don't attribute it to our righteousness, of course, and we don't become prideful and then turn to other gods, like worshiping money and worshiping fame and stuff like that. You'll just ignore the music in the back. Um, she's really killing it, y'all. Okay. Chapter 12, it says, these are the decrees and laws that you must be careful to follow in the land that the Lord your God, your fathers, has given you to possess, as long as you live in the land. Destroy completely all the places on the high mountains where the hills and under every spreading tree where the nations that you are depossessing worship their gods. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Asherah poles in the fire. Cut down their idols of their gods and wipe out their names from those places. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, but you are to seek the place of the Lord your God will choose from among all the tribes to put his name there for his dwelling. To that place you must go. There, bring your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes, your special gifts that you vow to give, your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks. There, in the presence of the Lord your God, you and your family shall eat and shall rejoice in everything that you shall put your hands to do, because the Lord your God has blessed you. You are not to do as what we do here, everyone he sees fit, since you have not yet reached the resting place and the inheritance of the Lord your God is giving you. But you will cross the Jordan and settle in the land for the Lord your God is giving you as inheritance. And he will give you the rest of your enemies around you so that you will live in safety. Then to the place the Lord your God will choose as a dwelling for his name. There you are to bring everything I command to you, your burnt offerings, sacrifices, your tithes, and special gifts, and all the choice possessions that you vow to the Lord. And there rejoice before the Lord your God, you, your sons, and your daughters, and your men servants and your maidservants, and the Levites from your towns, who have who have no allotment or inheritance of their own. Be careful not to sacrifice your burnt offerings anywhere you please. Offer them only at the place the Lord will choose in one of your tribes, and observe everything that I command you. Nevertheless, you may slaughter your animals in your own towns and eat as much of the meat as you want. But if it were a gazelle or deer, according to the blessing of the Lord your God gives you, both the ceremonial unclean and clean may eat it, but you must not eat the blood. Pour it on the ground like the water. You must not eat in your own towns the tithe of your grain and new wine and oil, or the firstborn of your herds and flocks, or whatever you vow to give, or your free will offering or special gifts. Instead, you are to eat them in the presence of the Lord your God at the place the Lord your God will choose. You, your sons and daughters, your men servants and maidservants, and the Levites from your towns, you are to rejoice before the Lord your God in everything that you put your hand to. Be careful not to neglect the Levites as long as you live in your land. When the Lord your God has enlarged your territory as he had promised you and crave meat, I and say, I would like some meat, then you can eat as much of it as you want. If the place where the Lord your God chooses to put his name is too far away from you, you must slaughter animals from the herds and flocks the Lord has given you, as I commanded you, and in your own towns you may eat it as much as you want. Eat them as you would a gazelle or a deer. Both the ceremonial clean and unclean may eat it. But be sure not to eat the blood, because the blood is the life, and you must not eat the life with the meat. You must not eat the blood. Pour it onto the ground like water. Don't eat it so that it will go well with you and your children after you, because you will be doing what is right in the eyes of the Lord. But take your consecrated things and whatever you have vowed to give, and go to the place the Lord will choose. Present your burnt offerings on the altar that the Lord your God, both meat and the blood. The blood of your sacrifices must be poured the altar, beside the altar of the Lord your God, but you may eat the meat. Be careful to obey these regulations I am giving you, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, because you will be doing what is right in the eyes of the Lord. The Lord your God will cut off before you nations that you are about to invade and depossess. When you have driven them out and settled in their land, and given after they have been destroyed before you, be careful ins- not to be ensnared by inquiring about other gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? We will do the same. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fires to sacrifice their gods. See that you do that all that I command, and do not add or take away from it. I think that my body wants to just yawn when I sit on this pillow. I'm gonna get a table and a chair, because I feel like my body just be like, because I'll be just fine. One place of worship. I'm just gonna put the title for that because I don't have anything to add. One place of worship. Okay. Worshipping other gods. If a prophet or one foretells by dreams appearing among you and announces you a miraculous sign or wonder, and if the sign or wonder of which he has spoken takes place, and he says, let us follow other gods and let us worship them. You must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer. The Lord your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart and with all your soul. It is the Lord your God that you must follow, and him you must revere. Keep his commands and obey him. Serve him, hold fast to him. That the prophet or dreamer must be put to death, because he preached rebellion against the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt and redeemed you from the land of slavery. He has tried to turn you away from the Lord your God and commanded you to follow. You must purge the evil from among you. If your very own brother or your son or daughter or wife you love, or your closest secret or your closest friend secretly entices you, saying, let us go worship other gods, do not yield to him or listen to him. Show him no pity. Do not spare him or shield him. You must certainly put him to death. Your hand must be the first in putting him to death, then the hands of all the people. Stone him to death because he tried to turn you away from the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Then all Israel will hear and be afraid, and no one among you will do such an evil thing again. If you hear it said about the towns the Lord your God is giving you to live in, that wicked men are arisen among you and have led people out of their towns astray, saying, let us go worship other gods, then you must inquire, probe, and investigate it thoroughly. And if it is true, if it has been proven that this detestable thing has been done among you, you must certainly put a sword to all who lives in that town, destroy completely both its people and its livestock. Gather all the plunder of the town into the middle of the public square, and completely burn the town and all of its plunder as a whole burnt offering to the Lord your God. It is to remain a ruin forever, never to be rebuilt. None of those condemned things shall be found in your hands, so that the Lord your God will turn his fierce anger from you, and he will show you mercy and have compassion on you and increase your number as he promised on oath to your forefathers, because you will obey the Lord your God, keeping all of his commands that I'm giving you today and doing what is right in his eyes. Woo! God not playing with them. Don't even let somebody try to entice you. Don't be enticed with other gods and ways that people serve their gods. All right. Clean and unclean foods. You are the children of the Lord your God. Do not cut yourself or shave the front of your heads for the dead, for you are a people holy to the Lord your God. Out of the people on the face of the earth, the Lord has chosen you to be his treasured possession. Do not eat any detestable thing. These are the animals that you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roe deer, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. You may eat any animal that has a split hoof divided into and that chews the cud. However, of those that chew the cud or have that split hoof completely divided, you may not eat the camel, the rabbit, or the coney. Although they chew the cud, they do not have a split hoof, and they are ceremonially unclean for you. The pig is also unclean, although it has a split hoof. It does not chew the cud. You are not to eat their meat or touch its carcasses. Of all creatures living in the water, you may eat any animal that has fins and scales, but anything that does not have fins and scales, you may not eat. For you it is unclean. You may eat any clean bird, but these you may not eat: the eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, the black kite, and any of the falcons. Oh, any kind of falcon and any kind of raven, the horned owl, the screech owl, the gull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the gray owl, the white owl, the desert owl, the osprey, the cormorant, the stork, and any kind of heron, and hoopoe, and the bat. All the flying insects that swarm are unclean, and you do not eat them. But any winged creature that is clean you may eat. Do not eat anything that you have found already dead. You may You may give it to the alien living in any of the towns, and he may eat it, or you may sell it to a foreigner, but you are a people holy to the Lord your God. Do not cook a young goat in its mother's milk. So these are all the things that we read before. Be sure to set a tenth of all of your fields produce each year. These are about tithes. Eat the tithe of your first grain, new wine and oil, and the firstborn of your herds and the flocks in the presence of the Lord your God, in the place that he chooses as a dwelling for his name, so that you may learn to reverence the Lord your God as always. But if that place is too distant, and you have been blessed by the Lord your God and cannot carry your tithe, then exchange your tithe for silver and take the silver with you and go to the place the Lord your God will choose. Use the silver to buy whatever you like, cattle, sheep, wine, or other fermented drink, or anything that you wish. Then you and your household shall eat there in the presence of the Lord your God and rejoice. And do not neglect the Levites living in your towns, for they have no allotment or inheritance of their own. At the end of every 3 years, bring all the tithes of that year's produce and store it in your town, so that the Levites and the aliens and the fatherless and the widows who live in your town may come and eat and be satisfied, and so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. Okay, so this is saying set aside a tenth, right, for the tithe. But then it says the tithe should be used for the aliens, the fatherless, the widows who live in your town so they can eat and be satisfied. So we're not giving tithes for foolishness, right? We're giving tithes to the Lord. We're giving tithes to do good work. So if you are giving to your church needs to be doing good work. There should be good fruit coming from your church because that's what we're tithing for. So make sure that your church is using those tithes to do good things. Y'all should be giving to widows and to homeless and to shelters. Because that's what it's for. Okay? I'll put tithes equal fruit of giving. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Chapter 15. At the end of every 7 years, you must cancel debts. Come on. Come on, student loans. You must cancel debts. This is how it is to be done. Every creditor shall cancel the loan that he's made to a fellow Israelite. He shall not require payment from his fellow Israelite or brother, because the Lord's time for canceling debts has been proclaimed. You may require repayment from a foreigner, but you must cancel any debt that your brother owes you. However, there should be no poor among you, for in the land the Lord your God is giving you to possess, as your inheritance, he will richly bless you if you only fully obey the Lord your God and are careful to follow all these commands that I'm giving you today. For the Lord your God will bless you as he promised, and you will lend to many nations, but will borrow from none. You will rule over many nations, but none will rule over you. If there is a poor man among your brothers, and if any of the towns of the land that the Lord your God has given you, do not be hard-headed or tight-fisted toward your poor brother. Rather, be open-handed and freely lend to him whatever he needs. Be careful not to harbor his wicked thought. The 7th year, the year of canceling debt, is near, so you do not want to show ill will toward your needy brother and give him nothing. He may then appeal to the Lord against you, and you will be found guilty of sin. Give generously to him, and do so without a grudging heart. Then, because of the Lord your God will bless you in all the work and everything that you put your hand to. There's always there will always be poor people in the land. Therefore, I command you to be open-handed towards your brothers and towards the poor and needy in your land. If the fellow, I keep saying feather, I don't know why. If a fellow Hebrew, a man or woman, sells himself to you and serves you 6 years. In the seventh year, you must let him go free. And when you release him, do not send him away empty handed. Supply him liberally from your flock, your threshing floor, and your winepress. Give to him as the Lord your God blessed you. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you. And that is why I give you this command today. But if your servant says to you, I do not want to leave you because he loves you and your family and is well off with you, then take an awl and push it through his earlobe into the door, and he will become your servant for life. And do the same for your maidservant. Do not consider it a hardship to set your servant free, because his service to you these 6 years has been worth twice as much as of a hired hand. And the Lord your God will bless you in everything that you do. Set apart for the Lord your God every firstborn male of your herd and flocks. Do not put the firstborn of your oxen to work, and do not shear the firstborn of your sheep. Each year, you and your family are to eat them in the presence of the Lord your God at the place he would choose. If an animal has a defect, is lame or blind, or has a serious flaw, you must not sacrifice it to the Lord your God. You are to eat it in your own town. Both ceremonial unclean and the clean may eat it, as if it were a gazelle or a deer. But you must not eat the blood and pour it onto the ground as water. Again, we have so much technology. So when it comes to giving to the Lord, we should be giving first. And I just experienced this last week because what did I even do? I bought something. I gave some money away, whatever it was, it doesn't matter. And Sunday came around and I had like $60 or something like that. And I was like, wow, because I know that I should have been giving more, but not even just that. Our pastor's anniversary was that week. So I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be giving way more because I was going to be giving the tithe, but also like for the pastor's anniversary, I was asking for more money because it's the anniversary. So I was just like, wow, this is really crazy because I used my money up instead of giving to the church first. And I give on Givelify anyway. So I give online. I'm like, I should have been just, gave to the church, and then whatever I had left, I could have given out or spent. So this is a prime example. It's saying, set apart for the Lord your God every firstborn male of your herds and your flocks. So that's part of your tithe. Set the Lord's tithe to the side first. So, firstborn, aka payday, set it to the side for the Lord. Boom. All right. 16. Observe the month of Abib and celebrate the Passover of the Lord your God, because in the month of Abib he brought you out of Egypt by night. Sacrifice as a Passover to the Lord your God an animal from your flock or herd at the place the Lord will choose as a dwelling for his name. Do not eat it with bread made with yeast, but for 7 days eat unleavened bread, the bread of affliction, because you left Egypt in haste, so that all the days of your life you may remember the time of your departure from Egypt. Let no yeast be found in your possession in all your land for 7 days. Do not let any meat of your sacrifice roll. Do not let any of the meat that you sacrifice on the evening on the first day remain until the morning. You must not sacrifice a Passover in any town the Lord your God gives you, except in the place he chooses as a dwelling for his name. There you must sacrifice a Passover in the evening when the sun goes down on the anniversary of your departure from Egypt. Roast it and eat it in the place the Lord your God chooses. Then in the morning return to your tents. For 6 days eat unleavened bread. On the seventh day hold an assembly to the Lord your God and do no work. Count off 7 weeks from the time that this is the Feast of Weeks. Count off 7 weeks from the time that you begin to put a sickle in the standing grain. Then celebrate the Feast of Weeks to the Lord your God by giving freewill offering in proportion to the blessing the Lord your God has given you. And rejoice before the Lord your God at the place he would choose as a dwelling for his name. You, your sons, your daughters, your men servants, maid servants, the Levites in your towns, and the aliens, the fatherless and the widows living among you. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt and follow oh my goodness, and follow carefully these decrees. This is the Feast of the Tabernacles. Celebrate the Feast of the Tabernacles for 7 days after you have gathered the produce of your. Oh my gosh, why am I tripping? Celebrate the Feast of the Tabernacles for 7 days after you have gathered the produce from the threshing floors in your winepress. Be careful at your feasts, you, your sons, your daughters, your men servants, and maid servants, and Levites, the aliens, the fatherless, the widows who live in your towns. For 7 days, celebrate the feast to the Lord your God at the place the Lord will choose. For the Lord your God will bless you in all your harvest, in all of the work of your hands, and your joy will be complete. 3 times a year, all your men must appear before the Lord your God at the place he will choose, at the feast of unleavened bread, the feast of weeks, and the feast of tabernacles. No man should appear before the Lord your God empty handed. Each of you must bring a gift in proportion to the way the Lord your God has blessed you. Judges. Appoint judges and officials for each of your tribes in every town the Lord your God has given you, and they shall judge the people fairly. Do not pervert justice or show partiality. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the word of the righteous. Follow justice and justice alone so that you may live and possess the land your God is giving you. Here, this is what I have to say about tithes again. Each of you must bring a gift to the each of you must bring a gift in proportion to the way the Lord your God has blessed you. So that's for the Feast of the Tabernacle, but each of you must bring a gift in proportion to the way that the Lord God, your God has blessed you. So if you are tithing to God, you're basically saying, God, you haven't blessed me with nothing, so I can't give you nothing back. I'm literally gonna write um that um that verse. So this is verse 17. Each of you must bring a gift in proportion to the way that the Lord has blessed you. Oh, okay. We're going to read this next one in our head. This is 17. Okay. So the 3 paragraphs were titled Worshiping Other Gods, Law Courts, and the King. So for worshiping other gods, basically saying if somebody sacrifices to the Lord something that has a defect or something that's, something wrong with like one of the animals, you are to kill them because you're not get rid of all the evil because they're not following the instructions that the Lord has sent. For the law courts, it says if there's a altercation, bring it to the Levites and the Lord will judge. And then it says for the king, once they enter in this land, they need to choose a king, but there's certain requirements for the king. So they can't have a great number of horses or make people go back to Egypt to get horses or accumulate large amounts of silver and gold, right? Because you want to keep the king's heart pure. So I'm going to focus on the king because I know there's going to be kings that, come up. So it says the king cannot. So I'm just going to say have abundance of material things and wives because it said he'll be led astray. All right. Oh, chapter 18. So it says, of course, offerings for the priests and the Levites. So of course they don't get to they don't have an allotment of land or anything. This is titled Detestable Practices. When you enter the land, do not learn to imitate detestable ways of nations there. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices his sons or daughters in fire, who practices divination or sorcery, or interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who is a medium or a spiritist who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. Because of these detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive out nations before you. You must be blameless before the Lord your God. So this is concerning the prophet. It says in verse 17, the Lord said to me, what they say is good. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything that I command him. If anyone does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name, I myself will call him to account. But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name anything that I have not commanded him to, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods must be put to death. You must say to yourself, how can we know when a message has not been spoken by the Lord? If what the prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, this is the message the Lord has not spoken, and that prophet has spoken presumptuously. Do not be afraid of him. So really, what we're getting again is more of like the laws that we previously read. I'm gonna continue to read them, but I'm just letting you know that these are some more of the laws that we previously read. So now this is about the city of refuge. So, chapter 19 is talking about the cities of refuge and the witnesses. Again, if somebody commits a crime, or if, like, let's say I kill you on accident and you want to get revenge, I can go to these cities of refuge and I can be protected there until the judgment comes. Not like I can just sit there, but until judgment comes, right? For the witnesses, one witness is not enough to convict a man. It needs to have at least two or three witnesses for a testimony. So that's what that's talking about. Now on chapter 20. When you go to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and an army greater than yours, do not be afraid of them, because the Lord your God who brought you up out of Egypt will be with you. When you are about to go into battle and the priest come forward and address the army, he will say, Hear, O Israel, today that you are going to battle against your enemies. Do not be faint hearted or afraid. Do not be terrified or give way to panic before them. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to give you victory. The officers shall say to the army, Has anyone built a new house and not dedicated it? Let him go home, or he may die in battle, and someone else may dedicate it. Has anyone planted a vineyard and not begun to enjoy it? Let him go home, or he may die in the battle, and someone else enjoy it. Has anyone else pledged to be a woman and not married her? Pledged to a woman, sorry, and not married her. Let him go home, or he may die in battle, and someone else will marry her. Then the officials said, Is any man afraid or faint hearted? Let him go home, so that his brothers will not become disheartened too. When the officers have finished speaking to the army, they shall appoint commanders over it. When you march up to attack a city, make his people offer a peace. If they accept and open their gates, all the people in it shall be subjected to forced labor and shall work for you. If they refuse to make peace and they engage in a battle, lay siege to that city. When the Lord your God delivers it to your hand, put the sword and all the men in it. And as for the women, the children, the livestock, and everything else, you may take these as plunder for yourselves. And you may use the plunder the Lord your God gives from your enemies. This is how you are to treat all cities that are in distance from you and do not belong to the nations nearby. However, in the cities of the nations the Lord your God has given you as inheritance, do not leave alive anything that breathes. So if they go to a place that's far from the place where they're like the promised land, then they can kill the men, but they can keep the women and the livestock and everything. But for the place that he's taking them to, he wants them to destroy everything in it. Completely destroy them, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, as the Lord your God has commanded you. Otherwise, it will teach you to follow the detestable sins that they have done and worshiping their gods, and you will sin against the Lord your God. When you lay siege to a city for a long time, fighting against it to capture it, do not destroy its trees by putting an axe to them, because you can eat their fruit. Do not cut them down. Are the trees the field of the people that you should besiege them? However, you may cut down the trees that are known not to give fruit and use them to build siege work until the city at war with you falls. Boom, we talked about that. All right, we're going to read 21 in our heads. So it starts off with the atonement for an unsolved murder. So if somebody was in the middle of like nowhere, basically they measure to the to the closest city, and then the elders of that city have to make a offering, and they also have to say, "We didn't shed the blood. They didn't shed the blood, or they don't know who shed the blood." All right, so it says marry a captive woman, the right of the firstborn, and a rebellious son. So if you marry a captive, you can marry a captive woman, but she has to trim her nails, cut her hair off, and give her the clothes that she had when she was captured. And then you can marry her, but if you're not pleased with her, then you can just let her go. The right of the first son is he must not give the rights of the firstborn to the son of the wife that he loves in preference to the actual firstborn. So you can't just give the land to the second son, you have to give to the firstborn. Duh. A rebellious son. So if a man has a stubborn son, he can bring him to the elders and he'll tell them like he's a drunkard, he's this, he's that, he's stubborn and rebellious, and all the men of the town can stone him. 22, it says various flaws. If a man is guilty of a capital offense and is put to death and his body is hung on a tree, you must not leave his body on the tree overnight. Be sure to bury him that same day, because anyone who is hung on a tree is under God's curse. You must not desecrate the land of the Lord your God, is giving you as inheritance. If you see a brother's ox or a sheep straying, do not ignore it, but be sure to take it back to him. If the brother does not live near you or you do not know who he is, take it home with you and keep it until he comes looking for it. Then give it back to him. Do the same when you find your brother's donkey or his cloak or anything that he loses. Do not ignore it. If you see your brother's donkey or his ox falling on the road, do not ignore it. Help it get to its feet. A woman must not wear men's clothing, nor a man wears women's clothing. For the Lord your God detests anyone who does this. If you come across a bird's nest beside the road, either in a tree or on the ground, and the mother is sitting on the younger, okay. If you come across a bird's nest besides the road, either in a tree or on the ground, and the mother sitting on the younger or on the eggs, do not take the mother with the young. You must take the young, but be sure to let the mother go so that it may do well and you may have a long life. When you build a new house, make a parapet around your roof so that you may not bring the guilt of the bloodshed of your house if anyone falls from the roof. Do not plant any two kinds of seeds in your vineyards. If you do, not only the crops that you plant, but also the fruit of the vineyard will be defiled. Do not plow with an ox or a donkey yoked together. Do not wear clothes of a wool and linen woven together. Make tassels on the four corners of the cloaks that you wear. Now, these are marriage violations. If a man takes a wife after lying with her, dislikes her, and slanders her and gives her a bad name, saying, I married this woman, but when I approached her, I did not find proof of her virginity, then the girl's father and mother shall bring proof that she was a virgin to the town's elders at the gate. I don't even know how you would do that. The girl's father will say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now he slandered her and said, I did not find your daughter to be a virgin, but here's proof of my daughter's virginity. Then her parents shall display the cloth before the elders in the town. Oh, ew. And the elders shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver and give them to the girl's father, because the man has given an Israelite woman a bad name. She shall continue to be his wife. He must not divorce her as long as he lives. If, however, the charge is true and no proof of the girl's virginity can be found, she shall be brought to the door of her father's house, and then the men of the town shall stone her to death, because she's done a disgraceful thing in Israel by being promiscuous while still in her father's house. You must purge the evil from among you. If a man is found sleeping with another man's wife, both the man who slept with her and the woman must die. You must purge the evil from Israel. If a man happens to meet in a town a virgin pledged to be married and he sleeps with her, you shall take both of them to the gate of the town and stone them to death. The girl, because she was in town and did not scream for help, and the man when he violated another woman's wife. You must purge the evil from among you. But if out of the country a man happens to meet a girl pledged to be married and he rapes her, the only one who shall die is him. Do nothing to the girl; she has committed no sin deserving death. This case is like them is like some of this case is like that of someone who attacks and murders his neighbor. For the man found the girl in the country, and though the betrothed girl screamed, there was no one to rescue her. If the man happens to meet a virgin who was not pledged to be married and rapes her, and they are discovered, he shall pay the girl's father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the girl, for he has violated her. He cannot divorce her as long as he lives. A man who is not married to his father's wife, a man is not married to his father's wife. He must not dishonor his father's bed. So, going back to verse 5, a woman must not wear men's clothing, nor a man must not wear woman's clothing, for the Lord your God detests anyone who does this. I wonder how they would feel about our world today, because the people who wear it back. Okay, it says no one, 23, it says no one who has been emasculated by crushing or cutting may enter the assembly of the Lord. No one born of a forbidden marriage, nor any of its descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord, even down to the 10th generation. Dang, it's not my fault. No Ammonite or Moabite or any of or any of his descendants may enter the assembly of the Lord, even down to the 10th generation. For they did not come to be with you with bread and water on your way when you came out of Egypt, and they hired Balaam, son of Beor from Pethor and Aram Naharaim, to pronounce a curse on you. However, the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam and turn the curse into a blessing for you. This is between Balaam and Balak, as we read about. Do not seek a treaty of friendship with them as long as you live. Do not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. Do not abhor an Egyptian, because you lived as an alien in his country. The third generation of children born to them may enter the assembly of God. Uncleanliness in the camp. When you are encamped against your enemies, keep away everything that is impure. If one of your men is unclean because of nocturnal emission, he is to go outside the camp and stay there. But as evening approaches, he is to wash himself, and at sunset he may return to the camp. Designate a place outside of the camp where you may go to relieve yourself as part of your equipment that has something to dig with. And when you relieve yourself, dig a hole and cover up your excrement. Excrement. When the Lord your God moves about in your camp to protect you, must deliver your enemies to you. Your camp must be holy so that he will not send among you anything that is indecent and turn away from you. Miscellaneous laws. If a slave has taken refuge with you, do not hand him over to his master. Let him live among you wherever he likes and in what town he chooses. Do not oppress him. No Israelite man or woman is to become a shrine prostitute. You must not bring earnings of a female prostitute or of a male prostitute into the house of the Lord your God to pay any vow, because the Lord your God detests them both. Do not charge your brother interest, whether on money or food or anything else that may earn interest. You may charge a foreigner interest, but not the brother Israelite, so that the Lord your God may bless you in everything that you put your hand in the land that you are entering to possess. If you make a vow to the Lord your God, do not be slow to pay it. But the Lord your God will certainly demand of you, and you will be guilty of sin. But if you refrain from making a vow, you will not be guilty. For whatever your lips utter, you must surely do, because you made a vow freely to the Lord your God with your own mouth. If you enter your neighbor's vineyard, and you may eat the grapes all you want, but do not put any in your basket. If you enter your neighbor's grain field, you must pick kernels with your hand, but you must not put a sickle in the standing grain. Whew. Almost there, y'all. If a man marries a woman who becomes displeasing to him because he finds something indecent about her, he writes a certificate to divorce, gives it to her, and sends her from his house. And if after she leaves his house she becomes a wife of another man, and her second husband dislikes her, and writes a certificate of divorce and gives it to her and sends her from his house, and if he dies, then her first husband who divorced her is not allowed to marry her again, for she has been defiled. That would be detestable in the eyes of the Lord. Do not bring sin upon the land of the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. If a man has recently married, he must not be sent to war or have any other duty laid on him. Because period. Serve your wife. For 1 year, he will be set free to stay at home and bring happiness to the wife he has married. Because period. Do not take millstones, not even the upper one, as security for a debt, because this would be taking a man's livelihood as security. If a man is caught kidnapping one of his brother Israelites and treat him as a slave or sells him, the kidnapper must die. You must purge the evil from among you. In cases of leprous diseases, be careful to do exactly what the priests who are Levites instruct you. You must follow Follow carefully what I have commanded them. Remember that the Lord your God did to Miriam on the way after you came out of Egypt. When you make a loan of any kind to your neighbor, do not go into his house to give what he is offering as a pledge. Stay outside and let the man who you are bringing the loan to pledge it out to you. If the man is poor, do not go sleep with his pledge in your possession. Return his cloak to him by sunset so he may sleep in it. Then he will thank you and it will be regarded as a righteous act in the sight of the Lord. Do not take advantage of a hired man who is poor and needy, whether he is a brother Israelite or an alien living in one of your towns. Pay him wages each day before sunset because he is poor and is counting on it. Otherwise, he may cry to the Lord against you, and you will be guilty of sin. Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children be put to death for their fathers. Each is to die for his own sin. Do not deprive the aliens or the fatherless of justice, or take cloak of the widow as a pledge. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you there. This is why I command you to do this. When you are harvesting in your field and you overlook a sheaf, do not go back to it. Leave it for the alien, the fatherless, the widow, and the Lord your God may bless you in all the works of your hands. When you beat the olives from the tree, do not go over to the branches a second time. Leave what remains for the aliens, the fatherless, the widows. When you harvest the grapes for your vineyards, do not go over the vines again. Leave what remains for the alien, the fatherless, and the widows. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and this is why I commanded you to do this. So it's basically saying, once you go through your land for like food and all this, don't go over it again. Leave it for other people to come and pick up too. So that's 24. Boom. We did it. All of these are really rules that we already talked about, so I don't have like additional notes to write. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to put an arrow and put the 24 in. I'm going to say previous regulations already read. Boom. That's 24. So we just completed day 14. So we'll be reading 24 to 34 next time. I'll see you later.